Hey fellas, good morning. It's the 15th of August. This video is fairly serious, and it's going to be titled, Are You Willing to Fight for the Things You Believe in? I'm going to reference some books. One that I'll reference for you is called The Fourth Turning. And from what I know about reading the book a few times, and that's a piece of gum. Reading the book a few times, I believe we're in what's called the fourth turning. So, the question is, are you willing to fight for the things you believe in? We are watching in real time the collapse of society in the United Kingdom. They even had some fucking dickhead police chief or whatever the fuck his name is, Rowlings or whatever, Rowling, say that if you post a mean comment online, they're going to come get you. No matter where you are, they're going to come get you. Whether you're in outside of their country or not, they're going to come get you. Well, I'd like to personally say to that dumb pencil neck motherfucker, you can come and get some any fucking time you want. This isn't the United Kingdom. We have the right to fucking bear arms here. And that's not just the ones that are attached at our shoulders. If you're willing to fight for the things you believe in, you're going to know how, you're going to have to know how to defend yourself. And that includes in a physical altercation. Now, putting your security or your life in someone else's hands is a massive mistake, especially if you're a man. You can buy a gun, buy a knife, home defense. You should have a really good shotgun. That's not a long gun, so you can maneuver it around your house. You need a good fighting knife. You're gonna need, I think it's about time, if you haven't thought about it, to maybe buy a big ass bag of rice, a couple of big ass bags of beans, and just stick them in a closet for a while till all of this shit calms down. I'm gonna switch hands here. The war in Ukraine, from what I know about war, is pretty much over. The only people who don't know it are the Ukrainians that are out there fighting. Now, they're trying to gaslight us into believing that this incursion into Russia is a massive big deal. And basically, the Russians are going to let them peter themselves out because the Ukrainians don't have the logistical support to continue the fight or take the fight any further. And what they did for a publicity stunt is just drive across a bunch of unoccupied farmland and are terrorizing some local towns. Now, mind you, the guys for this start of this war was because the Russians were saying part of the reason was that there were Nazis, literally Nazis, in the Ukrainian military. And there are literal Nazis in the Ukrainian army. They catch them all the time. You can see their tattoos. I believe one of them was the Azov battalion. It's unbelievable. I know a few people who went over there to be fighters for them and were shocked when they saw some of the shit. Now, if you do not think that the Ukrainians have been ruthless to the Russian-speaking people that were living in Ukraine, you're out of your fucking mind. Does that justify what the Russians did? No. But again, if you're not willing to fight for the things you believe in, then you're going to have some serious trouble. The other thing, here in the U.S., I think the first country, from the way it looks now, that's going to burst into civil war is the UK. Can you imagine a guy, a young white kid, gets hacked to death by machetes by two, I don't know if they're Africans or what, but they're very dark-skinned men. That boy's dead. His family has to live with that death. And those other guys didn't spend long in jail for it. That's just one incident. People stabbing people. And you know what they did in the UK? They disarmed their citizens. It's unbelievable. So, and you got this, I'm going to stop for a second because I'm trying to make sure myself. You got these guys in the UK putting people in jail for months, if not years, for a Facebook post. What the fuck is wrong with Zuckerberg? What the fuck is wrong with Facebook? Giving those people up like that. And again, freedom of speech is a great thing, but you have to fight for that. You have to be willing to fight for those things. I'm not saying that dark times are coming and la 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 la, but I think you should pay very close attention to not the news, not the regular news. I'll give you this guy. I think it's called S2, The Wire, or The Wire S2. He does a daily brief. And if you don't know, in the military, S2 is usually intelligence. I can only speak for the Army. Well, I can speak for most of them. Usually S2 is for the intelligence sector, and he does a good job. But the thing is, how do they create animosity between people? They focus on a group and they pit it against another group. They do it for ideology, such as communist. And if you don't think the communists have a foothold here in the United States, you're out of your mind. If you don't think there's fascists here in the United States, you're out of your mind. There are separatists in here. There are people that want to have a part of the U.S. cordoned off for them because they believe a certain way and they're willing to fight for it. The other thing is, I think the thing that was probably the tipping point for me yesterday is when I realized, look at what's going on in Bangladesh. What I realized about the UK, who I think is a failed country. There we are at the turnaround point. Was that these police officers, or constables, or whatever the fuck they call themselves over there, they look kind of gleeful, showing up at somebody's house that they know they're unarmed. Unless you, Jesus, that's fucking insane. They just barge in and say, hey, you made some Facebook post about demonstrating and causing problems at the airport or whatever else. And they take them away. That's right out of Nazi Germany. What they did to the Jewish people, what they did to the communists, what they did to everybody that stood against them. Hitler and his group. It's the same thing they did in Laos. Same thing they did in Vietnam. Same thing Mao did. Same thing Stalin did. The purges, the gulags. For Christ's sakes, there's over 2.5 million Uyghurs, ethnic Uyghurs, in China. Every man, woman, and child is locked up in re-education camps. There's slave labor. Anyways, the thing that saves us is we have two oceans on either side of us. But if you'll notice, they're sending people across the border by the fucking truckload. I have some friends who are in the border patrol, and they're saying there's military age guys from China coming across in squad and almost platoon size. Come on now. So, back to the premise of this video. Are you willing to fight for the things that you believe in? And the next one of these dumb motherfuckers that tells you we're a democracy, just politely stop them and say, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. We are a constitutional republic. We are not a fucking democracy. We are not mob rule. We are not, if you have 50 people and I have 10 people, you don't get to tell us what to do because your mob's bigger than mine. That's not how this fucking works. And thank God for our Constitution. But again, it's under attack. You're literally getting to see it in real time about the UK. The UK. And to all of you slack-jawed sissies over there in the UK that are trying to oppress your people. Police officers and that kind of stuff. What the fuck is wrong with you guys? These are just normal people. Are you telling me that you can't have freedom of speech? And they have freedom of speech. The Magna Carta has, that sounds like I'm from Boston. The Magna Carta has provisions of free speech, but they've lost their minds. And the same thing, I'm going to remind you, the same thing happened here during COVID. Do you remember what would happen to you if you were outside without a mask? And look at the governor of California. What a fucking psychopath that guy is. Newsom? Jeez. You remember him at that, what was it called, the Chinese Laundry? Out there with his friends, yucking it up. People were at home. How many private businesses, mom and pop stores, were ruined because of COVID? They lied to us. That fucking scumbag, Anthony Fauci, lied to us. He knew about gain of function. I knew about gain of function. And if you don't think they're doing that here in the United States, you're, again, out of your mind. Now back to the premise. Are you willing to fight for the things you believe in? If that's true, you have to be able to defend yourself. Do you think I want to be up at 3:30 in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, only one out here walking, talking to you guys? And you know, when I'm talking to you, I'm talking to you right now like I would talk to a friend, like I would just bounce ideas off a friend. You can't put the security of your life and your freedom in someone else's hands. Because you don't pay the police. The state or the city pays the police. Oh, I'm going to have to walk out in the road here. Say hello to this young lady. I'm glad the dogs are barking. That means she's well taken care of. So here, hang on. Morning, ma'am. I'll go out here, ma'am. You don't have to worry about it. Yes, ma'am, of course.
This stranger danger.
Yes, ma'am. That's a good thing. They're doing their job.
Yes.
You have a good day, ma'am. Let's see. Oh, there's an owl. I worry about if the owls come back about our cats or the coyote. Anyways, that's not the point. You can't entrust your life or freedom to someone else. It's just like your career, your ability to make money. You can't entrust someone else to do the right thing by you. And if you believe that you can do that, you're sadly wrong. So, at 58 years old, soon to be 59, I'm out here staying in shape. I'm making sure I can defend myself and the people I love. But I have the tools and training, and I polish all of my perishable skills. That's such as having weapons and knowing how to use them. Part of knowing how to use them is how to deploy them. If you have a knife and you can't figure out where it is to grab it and deploy it, like if you have a good fighting knife, you should be able to pull it out of your pocket like I just did. And here, I'll show you. I'll get the lighter spot. It's a good knife if it has a clip on it, but when you see that clip in it, that's the way it should be in your pocket. So when you pull it out of your pocket, you just flick it open. But those are things you have to practice. It's another reason why I do this early in the morning, because I practice deploying my weapons that I carry on me wherever the fuck I go. Because I don't entrust my safety or security to someone else that I'm not paying, that isn't accountable to me. And if you really think about it, the police, our military, all of those functions of the state, of the city, they're to keep the city safe. You're just a citizen in their city. And the only reason you hear about this stuff nowadays is that they have to wear body cameras and people have cell phones. All that to say this, I'm almost back to where I'm going to run out of light. So the moral of this story is, are you willing to fight for the things that you believe in? If so, you have to make sure, and I don't mean you need to be running around like a coiled spring ready to strike at any moment's notice, but you should have the ability to defend yourself. Because, ladies and gentlemen, you cannot call time out in real life. You can, oh fuck, you know, I'm kind of out of shape. I can't walk across the room without an inhaler. So, anyways, I think I've beaten the horse enough, but I guarantee you the Russians have baited the Ukrainians' best units into a trap, and they're going to cut them off, and they're going to horribly destroy those men. I mean, the last war I was in, we weren't using drones. You can't get away. And so, touch this mug. So anyways, not to be doom and gloom, but I would rather see you prepared and have the ability to defend yourself than not. All right? Love you guys. Stay safe and healthy. Take care of each other if you can, and if you can't, you have to take care of yourself. No one's coming to help us. So you might as well be able to fight and defend yourself as well as those you love, all right? Like a fort in a G-string from West Texas, El Paso. I'm out of here. Bye-bye.